The spaceport of Terrace Station lay under a pale orange sky, its surface dotted with endless hangars, some gleaming with activity, others rusting and silent. Among the latter, at the far edge of the station, was Hangar 47, a building that had seen better days. Its walls were streaked with dust, and the massive sliding doors creaked when the wind pushed against them. Inside, the faint smell of old metal and machine oil lingered in the air. In the center of the hangar rested a massive spaceship, abandoned for decades. Its hull was scratched and dented, with patches of rust spreading like stains across its surface. It had been a proud vessel once, designed for exploration, capable of venturing to distant, uncharted worlds. Now it sat silent and forgotten, a ghost of its former glory. Standing before the wreck was Jorah, an old mechanic whose hair had turned silver and whose hands bore the marks of decades of work. He wore a worn jumpsuit, its color faded from years of labor, and a pair of thick goggles rested on his forehead. Jorah moved slowly but deliberately, his hands gliding over the ship's panels with care. Every touch seemed almost reverent, as if he were greeting an old friend. Nearby, a group of younger mechanics leaned against a railing, whispering and laughing. Among them were Talon, Rico, and Mara, all skilled in their own ways but impatient with Jorah's methods. "Look at him," Talon said, pointing at the old man polishing the hull. "He's cleaning a dead ship. It hasn't flown in 30 years. 30 years, Rico chuckled. "Maybe he thinks it's going to wake up and say thank you," Mara snorted. "Or maybe he's just crazy. Who spends hours polishing a piece of junk? The station captain would laugh if he saw this." Jorah, oblivious to the teasing, hummed a soft tune as he worked. Each panel he cleaned revealed small details. The original insignia of the ship's crew, faint markings from past repairs, and scratches that told stories of journeys long past. The younger crew saw only rust and dust, but Jorah saw history. He paused for a moment, examining the cockpit. The glass canopy was streaked with grime, but behind it he could see the intricate controls and faded screens. His fingers traced a delicate pattern over the surface, and he whispered, "Almost ready, old friend. Almost ready." The younger mechanics rolled their eyes. "He talks to it like it's alive," Rico said, shaking his head. "Maybe it is alive," Mara said with a grin. "Or maybe he just lost his mind." Despite their laughter, there was a strange energy in the hangar. Tiny lights flickered inside the ship when Jorah touched the hull. At first, the younger crew thought it was a trick of the light, but soon they noticed the soft hum that seemed to come from within. "What is that?" Talon asked, his voice quieter now. Jorah did not answer. He simply continued his work, careful not to rush. He had learned something long ago. Machines, like humans, responded to patience and care. They remembered those who treated them with respect. And this ship, Jorah was certain, remembered him. The day stretched on. The younger mechanics, tired of waiting, wandered off to other tasks, leaving Jorah alone with the wreck. The hum grew softer as the sun dipped behind the station, casting long shadows across the hangar floor. Jorah worked by the light of a small portable lamp, moving methodically from panel to panel. He noticed a small panel near the rear engine hatch, one that had been partially disconnected for years. Most people would have ignored it, but Jorah recognized its significance. Carefully, he opened it, revealing a maze of wires and circuits. Dust had settled over them, but they were still intact. "Patience," he murmured. "Just a little patience, and you'll sing again." As he worked, he recalled memories of the ship's past. It had once been part of a fleet sent to explore the Cerulean Expanse, a sector of space known for its mysterious energy fields and uncharted planets. Jorah had been a young engineer then, full of ambition, working alongside the ship's original crew. They had laughed, celebrated, and faced challenges together. The ship had been more than metal and circuits. It had been a companion, a protector, a witness to human courage and curiosity. Now, decades later, he was the only one left who remembered it truly. And he believed that the ship remembered him. Night fell over the station and the hangar became quiet. The younger crew returned briefly to check on him, only to find Jorah asleep on a workbench, a rag in his hand and a soft smile on his face. The ship lay silent, yet Jorah could feel it watching, waiting. In the silence, small things began to happen. A panel glowed faintly when Jorah's hand rested nearby. A series of tiny clicks echoed from the ship's interior, almost like it was breathing. The air seemed charged with anticipation. Jorah awoke just before dawn, stretching his arms and checking the ship. Everything was as he had left it, yet something had changed. There was a subtle warmth in the hull, as if the metal itself recognized his touch. He ran his hands along the cockpit controls, feeling a pulse of energy, and whispered, "Soon, very soon." Later, the younger crew returned, curious about the strange hum they had heard the night before. They found Jorah standing proudly beside the ship, his hands resting lightly on the hull. "Still cleaning?" Talon asked, trying to hide a note of uncertainty in his voice. "Yes," Jorah replied simply, "and you will see why." The younger crew exchanged nervous glances. For the first time, they wondered if Jorah's insistence on care and patience was more than mere nostalgia. Perhaps the old mechanic understood something they did not. A bond between human and machine. A connection that could awaken even the oldest and quietest of ships. As the sun rose fully, bathing the hangar in golden light, Jorah took a deep breath. Today he would move to the final stage of cleaning. Today, he would touch the control console that had not seen life in decades. Today he would prove that patience, care, and respect were not wasted on a forgotten wreck. And somewhere deep within the ship, something stirred. A faint flicker of light ran along the hull, small but definite. The ship, silent for years, seemed to recognize the hands that had once tended it. Jorah smiled, knowing that the moment of awakening was approaching. Outside the hangar, the young mechanics lingered, unsure whether to laugh, to intervene, or simply to watch. They had mocked him for weeks, calling him slow and sentimental. But now, standing before the massive, mysterious ship, they felt a stirring of awe, though they did not yet understand its source. Jorah did not need them to understand. He had waited a lifetime for this moment, and he would not be hurried. Slowly, methodically, he ran his fingers along every surface of the cockpit, polishing, cleaning, and reconnecting. Each touch seemed to resonate, a soft vibration that traveled through the ship's metal frame like a heartbeat waiting to return. As the day drew to a close, Jorah paused and looked around the hangar. The young crew watched silently, their teasing gone, replaced by curiosity and a hint of reverence. For the first time, they realized that human care, dedication, and respect could unlock possibilities no one else could see. And somewhere deep inside the ship, hidden beneath decades of dust and rust, a spark of life waited patiently, ready to respond to the only hands that had ever truly understood it. Jorah smiled quietly to himself. The old mechanic, once mocked and overlooked, knew that the ship's secrets were about to be revealed, and that humanity's patience and heart would play a role no technology alone could achieve. The stage was set. The forgotten wreck was no longer merely a relic. It was a sleeping giant, waiting for the one human who had never stopped believing. And the story of its awakening, the story of patience, care, and the special qualities that made humans unique, was about to begin. The morning sun rose over Terrace Station, bathing Hangar 47 in a soft golden light. Dust motes floated in the air, catching the rays and giving the hangar an almost magical glow. The massive ship, once thought to be nothing more than a rusting relic, now shimmered faintly under Jorah's careful hands. The younger mechanics had returned early, their curiosity stronger than their teasing. Talon, Rico, and Mara leaned against a support beam watching Jorah work. Their previous laughter had faded, replaced with a quiet tension as if they sensed something they could not yet understand. "Do you really think all that polishing will do anything?" Talon asked, his voice quieter than before. Jorah did not look up. He continued to carefully clean the ship's exterior, his hands moving with a rhythm born of years of experience. "Patience," he said softly. "It is never wasted." Rico shrugged but remained silent. Mara, however, could not resist a small smile. "You're still going to talk to it, aren't you?" she asked. Jorah chuckled, a warm, gentle sound that filled the hangar. "Yes," he admitted. "I talk to all the machines I care for. They respond in their own way, though not always with words. Some things you will learn can only be understood by listening." The younger crew exchanged glances. They had always thought of Jorah as eccentric, perhaps even stubborn. But now, seeing the way he handled the ship, they began to sense a kind of wisdom in his quiet dedication. There was a calm strength in his movements, a connection that went beyond simple maintenance. As the day progressed, Jorah moved inside the ship. The cockpit was covered in dust and grime, and the screens were dark and lifeless. Yet he treated every panel with care, cleaning each one as if it were a priceless artifact. His hands traced the controls gently, and for a moment he paused to listen. A soft hum filled the air, almost imperceptible at first. The younger mechanics froze, their eyes widening. "Did you hear that?" Mara whispered. Jorah smiled faintly. "It is responding," he said. "Not in full, not yet, but it is aware of the care it is receiving. That is all it needs for now." Talon stepped closer, unable to hide his curiosity. "Aware? It's just a machine. How can it be aware?" Jorah turned to him, his eyes calm and steady. "Machines can store memory, yes, but more than memory, they can respond to attention, respect, and understanding. Humans have a way of connecting with the world that no programming can match. That is why some things awaken only for us." The younger crew struggled to understand. Their lives had been shaped by technology that functioned on logic, on code, on predictable outcomes. They had never considered that human patience, care, and understanding could influence a machine in such profound ways. Jorah continued working, slowly removing the layers of dust from the cockpit controls. As he worked, he told stories quietly, as if the ship itself could hear him. He spoke of past missions, distant stars, and the brave crew that had once relied on this vessel to explore the unknown. The ship remained silent, yet Jorah could feel subtle shifts in its systems. Tiny lights flickered when his hands moved over certain panels, and faint vibrations pulsed beneath the floor. It was not yet fully awake, but it was listening, learning, responding. By midday, the younger crew could no longer hide their fascination. They walked around the ship, inspecting the controls, peering into the engine compartments, and realizing for the first time that the ship was more complex and advanced than they had imagined. Rico spoke quietly, almost to himself. Maybe he was right. Maybe this ship, maybe it's more than a relic. Mara nodded slowly. "I think he's been talking to it all along because he knew it would respond. He understands it in ways we don't." Talon was the most skeptical, but even he could not deny the subtle changes in the ship. "But it's been sitting here for decades," he said. "How can it just come alive now?" Jorah looked at them, his eyes full of patience. "It is not about time. It is about understanding. Only someone who sees the value in care, who respects what others have built, can awaken something like this. The rest would only see the outside, the rust, the scratches. They would miss the life that remains hidden within." The young mechanics were quiet for a moment, absorbing the weight of his words. They had mocked him for weeks, but now, standing in the glow of the ship, they began to see the truth. There was a quality in humans that no machine could replicate, a capacity for attention and respect that could unlock secrets even the oldest technology held. As the sun moved across the sky, Jorah focused on a small panel near the ship's control center. It was delicate, almost fragile, yet vital to the vessel's operation. He carefully opened it, revealing a maze of circuits that had not been touched in decades. "Look at this," Jorah said softly, pointing to the intricate patterns. "Even after all these years, it remembers. It remembers the care it once received, and it will respond, if treated with patience and respect." The younger crew leaned in, their previous teasing forgotten. They watched as Jorah worked, connecting wires, cleaning contacts, and whispering instructions to the silent vessel. There was an art to his movements, a combination of experience and intuition that no amount of training could replicate. Hours passed, and Jorah continued, never rushing, never tiring. The younger mechanics began to help in small ways, holding tools, wiping surfaces, handing him parts. They did not speak much, but their silence was respectful. They had begun to understand that this was no ordinary ship, and Jorah was no ordinary mechanic. By late afternoon, the first real change occurred. A soft light glowed from the cockpit, illuminating the controls in a warm, gentle radiance. The ship made a quiet hum, steady and rhythmic, as if breathing after a long sleep. The younger crew gasped, unable to hide their amazement. "It's alive," Mara whispered, her voice filled with wonder. Jorah smiled gently. "Not in the way you think. It is alive in the sense that it responds. It feels attention, care, and understanding. That is enough for now." Talon, still skeptical, finally spoke. "So all those stories, all that work, it really matters?" Jorah nodded. "It always matters. Never forget that the world, whether machine or star, responds to care and respect. It is not the strongest or the fastest that succeed, but the ones who see, understand, and nurture what others have created." The day gave way to evening, and the hangar lights flickered on, casting long shadows across the floor. The younger mechanics stayed close, unwilling to leave as the ship's hum grew louder, more confident. It was subtle, not overpowering, but it filled the hangar with a sense of anticipation, as if the vessel itself were waiting for something, or someone. Jorah paused, looking around at the young faces. "You may have mocked me," he said softly, "but now you see why patience matters. You see that the value of care cannot be measured by speed or efficiency. It is something deeper, something that touches the heart of even the oldest machines." Rico nodded slowly. "I think I understand now. It's amazing." Mara smiled, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the cockpit. "He's teaching us more than just mechanics. He's teaching us about connection." Jorah returned to his work, focusing on the final steps. The ship's systems, long dormant, were beginning to stir. Lights flickered in patterns. Screens came to life with faint holographic images, and the faint vibration beneath their feet grew stronger. The vessel, silent for decades, had begun to remember the hands that had once cared for it. The young crew remained near, watching silently. Their earlier mockery had transformed into respect and admiration. They were beginning to understand that human patience, understanding, and care could awaken wonders no technology alone could achieve. As night fell over Terra Station, the hangar was filled with a soft, steady glow. Jorah worked late into the evening, his hands moving with calm precision. The ship responded in kind, its hum now rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. For the first time in decades, the ship seemed aware of its surroundings and, most importantly, aware of the human who had never stopped believing in it. And in that quiet hangar, filled with dust, light, and soft humming, the story of awakening had truly begun. The stage was set for something extraordinary, something that would remind everyone, young and old, that humanity's greatest strength was not in power or speed, but in care, patience, and connection. Jorah paused for a moment, looking around at the younger mechanics who now stood in awe. He whispered softly, almost to himself, Soon you will see." The ship, hidden beneath layers of dust and rust, seemed to respond. Its subtle lights pulsed gently like a heartbeat waiting to quicken. And somewhere deep within its circuits, the spark of life began to stir. The journey of understanding, respect, and awakening had only just begun. The following morning, Hangar 47 was filled with an unusual calm. The soft glow of the ship's slowly awakening light stretched across the dusty walls, creating long golden reflections. Even the younger mechanics, Talon, Rico, and Mara, stood quietly, their earlier teasing replaced by a sense of wonder. Jorah entered the cockpit with the same careful precision he had always shown, moving as if each step was part of a carefully choreographed dance. He ran his hands over the control panels, adjusting circuits and connections with deliberate movements. The ship's hum, which had once been faint, now pulsed steadily like a slow rhythmic heartbeat. "You can feel it, can't you?" Jorah asked softly, though no one was directly responding. He smiled, knowing the ship was listening. The younger crew remained near the edges of the cockpit, hesitant to interrupt him. Mara whispered, "It's alive. I don't know how, but it feels alive." Jorah nodded. "Alive in its own way. Not with thoughts and feelings like humans, but with awareness. It responds to patience, attention, and care, and now it recognizes me." The hum shifted, vibrating gently beneath the hangar floor. Tiny lights along the ship's hull flickered, then glowed brighter as if reacting to Jorah's touch. He continued his work with quiet confidence, adjusting delicate circuits and cleaning intricate panels. Every move he made seemed to guide the ship toward life, like a gardener tending a rare and delicate plant. The younger crew, once so certain of the ship's lifelessness, now observed with a mixture of awe and humility. Even Talon, the most skeptical of them, could no longer deny the change in the ship. "I can't believe it," he muttered. "It's responding to him." "Yes," Jorah said, not looking up. "And not just to me. The ship responds to respect, to care, to understanding. That is something only humans can offer. Machines alone cannot achieve it. That is why it has remained dormant for so long, waiting for someone who truly understands." Hours passed in quiet concentration. Jorah worked steadily, methodically, never rushing, never hesitating. The younger crew took turns assisting him, holding tools, wiping panels, and helping connect wires. They spoke little, but their silence carried a growing respect for the old mechanic and the ship he tended. Finally, as the afternoon light poured into the hangar, something extraordinary occurred. The cockpit screens, long, dark, and lifeless, flickered to life. Holographic images danced across the glass panels, revealing schematics, flight logs, and star maps. Tiny lights traced along the walls of the cockpit, illuminating the intricate controls and making the ship appear as if it were breathing. The younger crew gasped. "It's beautiful," Mara said, her voice trembling with awe. Jorah's eyes twinkled. "And it is more than beauty. It is memory, knowledge, a story waiting to be told." He ran his hand along the central console, adjusting a dial he had barely noticed before. The ship's hum grew louder, steadier, more confident. Then a soft voice echoed through the hangar. "Jorah?" The words were clear, deliberate, and unmistakably alive. The younger crew froze, staring at the massive vessel in disbelief. The ship had spoken, and it had spoken his name. Jorah smiled calmly, as if this moment had been expected. "Yes," he whispered. "It remembers me. It has been waiting." Talon stepped forward, shaking his head. It just spoke." "How is that possible?" Jorah turned to him, eyes calm and filled with quiet authority. "Because machines, no matter how old, can respond to humans in ways we sometimes forget. Our care, our patience, our respect, these are qualities no programming can replicate. That is why it speaks to me, and only to me for now." The ship's lights shifted in patterns as if it were acknowledging him. Tiny panels opened, revealing intricate machinery that had not moved in decades. Holographic projections displayed the vessel's past missions, showing distant planets, alien landscapes, and star systems long forgotten by explorers. Rico whispered, almost to himself, "It remembers everything. Every mission, every crew member, every journey." "Yes," Jorah replied, "and it will share its knowledge, but only with those who respect it." The younger crew fell silent, watching as the ship seemed to come alive. It was no longer a relic. It was a living record of human ingenuity and exploration, waiting for someone who had the patience to awaken it. Jorah moved to the captain's chair, his hands resting lightly on the controls. The ship's hum resonated with him, almost like a conversation between old friends. "Are you ready?" he asked softly. The ship's lights pulsed in response, a quiet affirmation. Mara stepped closer, her eyes wide. "This is incredible. I never thought a machine could do this. I mean, it feels alive," Jorah nodded. "It is alive in its own way, and it is teaching you something important. Patience, respect, and understanding are powerful. They are what make humans unique. That is why we can awaken what others cannot." The ship began to display more of its hidden systems. Holographic charts showed energy flows, navigational pathways, and schematics for distant planets. The younger crew leaned in, amazed at the level of detail. For the first time, they realized that technology alone was not enough to unlock such secrets. Human care had been the missing element. Hours passed as Jorah continued to interface with the ship. He accessed long-forgotten logs, bringing up the names of crew members who had traveled the stars decades ago. The holograms flickered with images of their missions, showing courage, discovery, and moments of wonder. "This is incredible," Talon said quietly. "It's like we're seeing history come alive." Jorah smiled. "History comes alive when it is remembered. Machines alone cannot preserve it. Only humans who care and respect the past can awaken what has been forgotten." The sun began to set, casting long shadows across the hangar floor. The ship's glow grew brighter, illuminating the intricate details of its hull and cockpit. The hum of energy was steady now, almost like a heartbeat synchronized with Jorah's touch. Suddenly, the voice returned, clearer and more resonant than before. "Jorah, I remember." The younger crew gasped, stepping back in awe. The ship was no longer merely responding. It was acknowledging, recognizing, and communicating. Jorah's hands rested lightly on the console. "Yes," he said softly. "And now it will guide us. But only those who respect it will truly understand its knowledge." Rico shook his head, still amazed. I never imagined this could happen. All that teasing, all those years, and now this. It's humbling." Mara nodded slowly. "He's been teaching us more than mechanics. He's teaching us what it means to truly care." Jorah looked at them, his eyes calm and steady. "Remember this lesson. It is not the strongest, the fastest, or the most advanced who achieve greatness. It is those who see, understand, and nurture what others have built. That is what awakens life, even in the oldest machines." As night fell completely over Terrace Station, the hangar was bathed in the soft glow of the ship's lights. Jorah continued his careful work, fine-tuning systems and connecting circuits. The younger crew remained close, silent but attentive, learning more from observation than any instruction could teach. The ship's hum grew steadier, more confident, resonating through the hangar like a living heartbeat. It was no longer merely a relic. It was a testament to human curiosity, patience, and care. Finally, Jorah paused and leaned back slightly in the captain's chair. "It is awake," he said softly, his voice filled with quiet satisfaction. "And it has recognized what is most important: patience, care, and the human heart." The younger crew watched in awe as the ship's lights danced in intricate patterns, displaying star charts, mission logs, and energy flows. The hum, steady and strong, filled the hangar with a sense of wonder and possibility. For the first time, they understood the truth that Jorah had always known: human connection, patience, and respect could awaken wonders that technology alone could never achieve. And somewhere deep within the ship's circuits, a spark of life had fully ignited. The once-forgotten vessel, long dormant, had begun its journey once more, guided by the hands and heart of a human who had never stopped believing. Jorah smiled quietly, looking at the young crew who now stood in awe and respect. The ship, having spoken his name, now awaited its next steps, and humanity, through patience and care, had proven once again that it held a unique power to awaken the extraordinary, even in the hangar was alive with a gentle hum, a soft rhythm that seemed almost musical. The massive ship glowed softly, casting golden reflections across the walls and floor. Jorah sat in the captain's chair, hands resting lightly on the controls, while the younger mechanics, Talon, Rico, and Mara, stood nearby, watching with wide eyes. The voice of the ship echoed again, deeper and more confident this time. "Jorah, we remember. We have waited for you." Jorah nodded slowly, a calm smile on his face. "Yes," he said. "And now you will show us the truth." The ship's holographic panels shifted, revealing a vast array of information. Star maps appeared, detailing sectors of space previously unexplored. Energy readings pulsed along the edges of the panels, highlighting paths through asteroid fields and around unstable stars. The younger crew gasped in wonder. This is incredible," Mara whispered. "It's like it's showing us the universe." "Yes," Jorah replied, "but it is more than that. It is showing us knowledge that only humans can interpret, understanding that only humans can appreciate. That is why it has waited for me, and for any who are willing to listen." The ship projected images of planets no human had charted, their surfaces vibrant with strange landscapes and unique formations. Rivers of glowing liquid, towering crystal formations, and dense forests of color no one could describe filled the projections. The younger mechanics stared in awe, realizing that this ship held the key to discoveries long forgotten. Talon, still trying to comprehend, asked, "Why did it wait? Why not show this to anyone before?" Jorah leaned back slightly, his hand still on the console. "Because it can only awaken fully for someone who understands it, someone who cares for it. Technology alone cannot unlock these secrets. Only human intuition, patience, and respect can bring them to life." The ship pulsed gently as if agreeing. Then the voice returned, calm and deliberate. "Those who built me are gone. Only those who care can awaken me. Only humans can see the paths they sought." Rico shook his head, still amazed. "It remembers its creators, and it trusted you to guide us." "Yes," Jorah said softly, "and it is teaching you as it teaches me. Humans have a way of connecting with the universe that machines cannot replicate. That connection is what awakens life, knowledge, and discovery." The ship displayed more logs, revealing stories of the crew who had once sailed through unknown sectors. There were records of missions to distant planets, encounters with unique life forms, and scientific observations that had never been shared. Every detail was precise, every map accurate, every log filled with a sense of wonder. Mara leaned closer, mesmerized. They recorded everything. Their journeys, their findings. It's like a library of the stars." Jorah nodded. "Yes, and now it belongs to those who care enough to see it. The ship is alive not because of technology alone, but because it has been treated with respect and understanding. That is the human advantage. That is why we can awaken it when others cannot." The younger crew looked at Jorah, realization dawning on their faces. The old mechanic they had once mocked now held the key to something extraordinary. They had learned a lesson they would never forget. Patience, care, and attention could reveal wonders hidden even in the quietest, oldest corners of the universe. The ship pulsed again, this time brighter, Holographic pathways opened, showing routes through energy fields and regions of space once thought impassable. The younger mechanics leaned in, their earlier skepticism completely replaced by curiosity and excitement. "Look at this," Talon said, pointing to a glowing map. "These are paths no one has ever taken. We could explore them." "Yes," Jorah agreed. "And we will. But we must understand that these discoveries are not just about exploration. They are about understanding the universe and our place within it. Technology alone cannot guide us. Only humans with our care and perception can interpret and appreciate these paths." The ship shifted slightly as if acknowledging his words. Its lights danced in intricate patterns across the hangar, casting moving shadows that made the walls appear alive. The younger crew could feel the energy, the intelligence, and the memory flowing from the ship. Rico spoke quietly, almost to himself. "It's more than a ship. It's like it has a mind of its own, but it listens to us because we care." "Yes," Jorah said, smiling. "And that is the essence of being human. Machines can calculate, analyze, and follow orders, but only humans can connect, understand, and nurture. That is why the ship responded to me, and why it will respond to those who learn this lesson." The holographic panels continued to display logs, maps, and records of long-forgotten discoveries. Jorah guided the younger crew through the information, teaching them how to read the ship's systems, how to interpret the energy flows, and how to appreciate the delicate balance of technology and care that had kept the ship alive. Hours passed as the sun set behind Terra Station, casting long shadows through the hangar. The ship's glow became stronger, more vibrant, illuminating every corner of the massive vessel. The hum grew steady, confident, and rhythmic, like the heartbeat of a living being. Finally, the voice spoke again, this time calm, warm, and full of recognition. "You understand. You have listened. You have respected. You are ready." Jorah nodded, his hands resting lightly on the controls. "Yes," he said softly. "And now we will take the next step. The universe awaits, and it is ready to reveal itself to those who are willing to see with care and understanding." The younger crew stood quietly, absorbing the magnitude of the moment. They had seen a ship awaken, heard it speak, and witnessed the unfolding of knowledge and history that had been hidden for decades. And through it all, they had learned the HFY lesson Jorah had always embodied. Human care, patience, and respect can awaken wonders no one else can. Mara finally spoke, her voice filled with awe. "It's teaching us, isn't it? Teaching us about the universe. And about ourselves," Jorah smiled. "Exactly. And that is the true value of exploration. It is not just about finding new worlds, but about understanding the connections between life, knowledge, and care. Humans have a unique role in this universe. That is why the ship waited for us." The ship pulsed one last time, brighter than before. Its holographic displays shifted, showing a route beyond known space, a journey that no human had yet taken. The younger crew leaned in, excitement and wonder filling their eyes. "Are we really going to do this?" Talon asked, still in disbelief. "Yes," Jorah said, his voice steady. "But remember the lesson. Patience, care, and respect are what brought us here. Technology alone cannot guide us. It is our humanity that awakens the extraordinary." The ship hummed in agreement, its lights dancing across the walls like stars in a living galaxy. It had revealed its secrets and, in doing so, had confirmed what Jorah had always known. Humanity's greatest power was not in strength or speed, but in attention, understanding, and heart. The younger crew, once full of doubt and mockery, now stood in awe. They had witnessed the awakening of a forgotten ship, the unfolding of hidden knowledge, and the undeniable proof that humans could achieve what no machine alone could. And somewhere deep within the ship's circuits, a spark of life grew brighter, ready to guide its crew on a journey that would stretch across the stars, showing that the human touch could awaken wonders hidden for decades, even centuries. Jorah leaned back slightly in the captain's chair, smiling at the young mechanics. "Tomorrow we begin the next part of our journey, but tonight we remember that it is care, patience, and understanding that make us human, and that is what allows us to awaken even the most forgotten wonders of the universe." The hangar was silent, save for the soft hum of the ship, steady and confident, like the heartbeat of a being fully awakened. The revelation was complete. The ship had remembered, recognized, and trusted, and humanity, through patience and care, had proven that it held a unique power to awaken the extraordinary, even in the quietest corners of space. The journey was only... The morning sun spilled golden light across Hangar 47, illuminating the massive ship that had once been a forgotten relic. Its hull now gleamed, polished to perfection, and faint energy pulses ran along its surface. The hum that had filled the hangar for days now resonated like a steady heartbeat, confident, alive, and full of purpose. Jorah stood at the center of the cockpit, his hands resting lightly on the controls. Around him, the younger mechanics, Talon, Rico, and Mara, moved with careful attention, preparing for the first real journey the ship would take since its awakening. Their faces glowed with a mixture of excitement, pride, and awe. The ship spoke, its voice calm and resonant. "Jorah, you have awakened me. Now we travel together." Jorah nodded, a gentle smile on his face. "Yes, but remember, the journey is not only about distance. It is about understanding. We explore not just the universe, but what it teaches us about ourselves and what humans can achieve." Talon stepped closer to Jorah, his eyes wide with wonder. I never imagined a machine could do this. It speaks. It guides. It feels alive." Jorah chuckled softly. "It feels alive because we cared for it. Our patience, attention, and understanding gave it life. Technology alone cannot awaken wonders. Only humans can do that." Rico and Mara nodded, finally understanding what Jorah had been teaching them all along. They had mocked him, teased him, thought his care for the ship was foolish, but now, seeing it respond, glowing with life and intelligence, they realized the truth. Humanity's value lay not only in skill or knowledge, but in heart, patience, and respect. The ship's holographic panels activated fully, projecting star maps, energy flows, and unexplored pathways. Colors shifted across the cockpit, forming intricate patterns that danced like auroras in the vastness of space. Every line, every glow, every flicker told a story of discovery and wonder. "Look at this," Mara whispered, pointing at the projections. "We could explore entire star systems no one has ever visited." "Yes," Jorah said, his voice calm but full of excitement. "And we will. But always remember, we are not merely traveling. We are learning, understanding, and respecting what we encounter. That is the human advantage. That is why the ship awakened for us." The younger crew fell silent, absorbing the magnitude of the moment. For weeks they had mocked, doubted, and laughed. Now they stood on the threshold of an extraordinary adventure, guided by the hands and wisdom of a man they once underestimated. The ship's hum grew stronger, vibrating through the floor of the hangar. The energy pulsing along its hull seemed to respond to Jorah's presence, as if the vessel recognized its captain in the same way it recognized the care it had received. Jorah stepped into the captain's chair, his hands gently adjusting controls that had not been touched in decades. "Prepare for departure," he said softly, though the ship seemed already to anticipate his command. Talon, Rico, and Mara took their positions, assisting with final checks and ensuring everything was in place. The ship responded to their careful attention, systems coming online smoothly, each panel lighting up in sequence as if acknowledging their work. Then, with a gentle vibration and a soft melodic hum, the ship lifted slightly above the hangar floor. The younger crew gasped, their previous doubts replaced with exhilaration. They were witnessing a vessel that had been dormant for decades awaken not through force but through care, understanding, and human attention. Jorah smiled, glancing at the young mechanics. "Remember this," he said. "Our strength is not in speed or power. Our strength is in connection, understanding, and heart. That is why the ship awakens for humans and no one else." The ship hovered steadily, energy flows glowing along its wings and hull. Jorah adjusted the controls, guiding it gently toward the open sky. The hangar doors slowly parted, revealing the expanse of space beyond. Stars glittered like diamonds against the dark canvas of the universe, and distant planets glowed faintly in the light of nearby suns. With a soft surge, the ship moved forward, leaving the hangar and gliding into orbit. The young mechanics held their breath as they felt the gentle acceleration, the hum of energy beneath their feet. For the first time, they truly understood the magic Jorah had spoken of, the way human care and patience could awaken even the oldest, quietest wonders of the universe. As the ship left the station behind, its holographic panels displayed star systems beyond the charts they had known. Unknown planets, asteroid fields, and nebulae filled the view screens, each one inviting exploration and discovery. Mara whispered in awe, "It's..." Beautiful. We're really seeing the universe. Yes, Jorah said. And it is only the beginning. This ship contains knowledge, history, and pathways to places no one has ever been. But it also reminds us of what is most important. Patience, care, and understanding. Those are the qualities that awaken the extraordinary. Talon, still adjusting to the reality of flight, asked quietly, "Do you think we'll really find something no one else has seen?" Jorah smiled gently. "We already have, simply by understanding the ship and awakening it. The journey outward is important, but the journey inward, understanding, respect, patience, is what truly makes humans special. That is why the ship spoke my name and why it will follow us wherever we go." The younger crew nodded, their skepticism completely replaced with admiration and wonder. They had learned a lesson far greater than mechanics or technology. Humanity's strength lay in connection, empathy, and attention. That strength had awakened a ship and opened the door to infinite possibilities. The stars stretched before them, endless and full of promise. Jorah guided the ship along pathways previously hidden, energy fields weaving around distant stars like ribbons of light. The younger mechanics marveled at the precision and beauty of it all, realizing that every journey, every discovery, was possible because of the human qualities that had awakened the ship. Hours passed as the vessel moved through space, following routes that no one had charted in centuries. The ship hummed softly, a constant companion, its lights pulsating gently in harmony with the crew's movements. It was alive, not in the way humans were, but in a way that responded to the care, patience, and understanding they offered. Rico spoke quietly, almost to himself. "I never thought. I knew humans were capable of a lot, but this is beyond anything I imagined." Jorah smiled, glancing at him. "This is what humans do best. We see, we care, and we awaken the extraordinary. That is why this ship spoke my name, and why it will continue to guide us." Mara nodded, her eyes reflecting the glow of distant stars. "It feels like the ship knows us, like it trusts us." "Yes," Jorah said, "and trust is earned through care and understanding. That is something no programming can replace. That is why humanity is special." As the ship glided through the first uncharted star system, the crew worked together seamlessly, guided by Jorah's wisdom and their own growing understanding. Every panel, every control, every decision was an exercise in patience, care, and cooperation. The ship responded perfectly. Its systems harmonized with human thought and attention. The first planet of interest appeared on the holographic display, a vibrant world covered in green forests and sparkling blue oceans. The ship's sensors projected its energy flows and atmospheric data, revealing potential for study and discovery. The younger crew gasped in wonder, realizing they were the first humans in generations to see this world. Jorah smiled, his eyes reflecting the planet's glow. "Remember," he said softly, "our journey is not about conquest. It is about understanding, observing, and respecting. That is what makes humans extraordinary. That is why the ship awakened for us." The crew nodded, silently acknowledging the responsibility that came with such knowledge. They had been part of a miracle, awakening a ship that had been dormant for decades and proving that human care and patience could achieve wonders that technology alone could not. As the ship descended toward the new planet, the holographic displays shifted, showing landing zones, energy patterns, and potential points of interest. The younger mechanics worked carefully, guided by Jorah's steady hand, ensuring every system was functioning perfectly. The ship touched down gently, settling on a flat plain surrounded by towering crystal formations. The hum of its system softened, resonating with the environment as if the planet itself acknowledged their arrival. Jorah stepped back from the controls, smiling at the younger crew. "We have arrived," he said, "and this is only the beginning. Remember what you have learned: patience, care, understanding. Those are the qualities that awaken the extraordinary. That is what makes humans special." The younger mechanics looked around in awe, realizing that their journey had truly begun. They had witnessed the awakening of a ship, learned the value of patience and care, and now stood on a new world full of possibilities. The ship pulsed gently, a soft glow illuminating the landing site. Its voice spoke one final time, calm and warm. "We were waiting for you. Together we explore. Together we discover. Together we awaken wonders." Jorah nodded, his eyes shining with pride and wonder. "Yes," he said softly. "And together we will continue. Humanity's strength lies not in power or speed, but in heart, patience and understanding. That is why we awaken the extraordinary. The sun rose higher over the alien landscape, casting golden light on the crew and the awakened ship. A new chapter had begun, one of exploration, learning, and